Hi, I'm Saksham Srivastava. This rough draft explains how context shapes the communication in my major. I use four writing examples: a USF program page, an ICCAD call for papers, and two research papers from different eras. So let's check. The point of this presentation is to show that context shapes both interpretation and production. In CS, context often changes what counts as good evidence, how fast people read, and what convention the genre uses. I'm using the WAC idea that context can be physical, social, and cultural, historical. Those layers shape what readers expect and what writers choose to include. This is a good example of physical context. Student can scan quickly this page. The list format and links meet that expectation. It also shows social context. The university is advising and recruiting, so the tone is accessible, not technical. And one can tell the genre is a program overview. The audience being student and prospective families who may not be just so much technically literate at that point, and the purpose is to recruit and advise quickly. The context being the a student or a parent is quickly trying to skim through multiple university web pages to see where the best program of their choice is. The next example is the ICCAD call for papers, and this is a flyer sent out to researchers that want to submit the work for the upcoming conference. The purpose is to coordinate the community and plus like gatekeep the scope to limit what kind of papers come in and like who these papers are going to be coming from. And the context is like deadlines plus peer review. And the CFP exists to coordinate a research community. Because of time pressure, the writing is list driven and rule driven, because you don't want any ambiguity in these paper calls. The next example I have is of a research paper from 1997 about LSTM, which stands for long short-term memory. This abstract is longer in this paper, and it is more theory focused, because if you think about it, that this research paper is from 1997, where the artificial intelligence technology was not as popular and as prevalent and as developed as it is today, and so the writer had to go through great lengths to explain what they're doing and why it makes sense, and they had to appeal to a large technical audience, but not particularly skilled in this particular topic, which was ML research, which was pretty niche at the time. So they had to like explain a lot, and they had to make it more theory and proof based. While a more modern research paper from 2022, Flash Attention, it's like a more modern take on research papers, where now that in 2022 there is a whole big community of engineers and ML researchers that are going to be reading this paper, and the papers in 2022 and afterwards have been consistently written to be competitive, to be easy to read, and they use benchmarks and figures and um, these kinds of stuff to to speed up their like claim supports. So the early figure and speed up claim supports skimmers and helps the paper compete for attention. And so it is designed in a way to like grab your attention quickly and explain the topic as fast as they can, because they want to be very efficient with it to the people who read the paper. We can see like even in the same genre, my main comparison is that research paper genre is stable, but conventions shift. Context changes how readers read and what they expect as proof, so writers adapt. Like the LSTM paper, the field was still building, and the field was like very in an earlier stage, while in the flash attention paper, the field already matured, and the different kinds of constraints dominate, so they address those constraints specifically because of the context around AI research at that point. And LSTM paper is very slowly reading step by step, while flash attention paper is skimming figures and speed ups. The social aspect is it was very small, like I said, it was a very small community initially and very less competition. But now in 2022, the field became so huge and so popular, and so the benchmarks serve as their credibility. They have to prove their credibility in the paper, as well as they have to make the paper so easy and fast to skim and understand, so that they remain competitive and their research is relevant. And the conventions followed is like also reflective of this fact, because you see in the LSTM paper the abstracts are long and the theory is set up first and there's a lot of proofs, while in the flash attention paper it introduces an abstract and then it immediately jumps to how this research works and explains everything through one figure initially only. So if one wants, they don't even have, if one understands the figure in itself, one don't even have to read the rest of it. This is where I connect context to rhetorical situation. When audience and constraint change, genre conventions change. That's why the four example looks different, even though they're all communications in some computer science. Like the audience, who reads it and what they already know, constraints like deadlines, format limits, hardware reality, purpose, what the text needs to accomplish, and genre, expected shape of response in that context. When context changes, one or more of these elements shift and the genre convention has to adapt to it. So the key takeaway is practical. The context gives me a checklist: who is reading, why, and what constraints exist. If I match my writing to that context, the communication is more likely to work. So before I write, I ask, who is my audience? What is my purpose? What constraints exist currently? And what genre move fits this context? So like before I write now, I will obviously always evaluate these topics, and these are the sources and link for my four example. In the final version, I will keep screenshot as the example slides and keep links here. Thank you so much for watching.